All right, here we are. We're looking at lab number 5. Looks like this. So you want to take some time to fill out the top of your paper here. Don't forget your name, date, and such. Our essential question today, what happens when two of the same and then two different air masses meet? And so with this one, we're really focusing on examples of weather fronts. Sometimes weather fronts come together and they can be very dramatic, and other times we don't see such a dramatic result. So again, look at the materials that we're using, and our procedural steps are pretty simple today. So we've got our basic setup. We're using our convection chamber, a tube to connect them, and then of course we've got our convection tubes across the top. I have ice in both of those. I have placed the same amount of ice in each of our cups. They both contain 7 ice cubes. And today what we're going to be looking at again is just checking out the flow of air. So again, things that we're keeping the same, things that we're changing, we're going to be again changing the temperature of air above our surface. And our surface right now is represented by 2 cold fronts. So you'll notice your table down below, it says cold and cold. Go ahead and make a prediction. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen? Next, we'll be doing warm and warm. So we'll actually be placing a candle under each of those. When I have a candle under each of those, make a prediction. What do you think will happen? And then for the last one, we'll be putting a candle under one side and ice under the other, and we'll be looking at hot and cold. So again, you're going to make your prediction. In just a moment, I'm going to take our punk, and I'm going to place our punk inside of our convection tubes because we want to see what the smoke does. So again, in this scenario, we have cold, cold. So I'm going to take our punk, I'm going to place it down our tube about halfway, and I'm going to watch for just a moment to see what happens to our smoke. Again, I'm looking at the smoke. Is it collecting in the tube? Is it collecting in the chamber? Is it moving over and starting to collect in this chamber? Is it by chance coming out this other side? I know this is a little bit difficult to see. This smoke, believe it or not, is coming down here. It kind of drops just a little bit and then it just comes straight back up. So again, hot air rises. So our smoke is just coming right out the top. And that's what you want to go ahead and write down for your observation. Our next scenario is looking at hot, hot. So again, I've got my variables in this case. We're going to use a candle to represent our hot, hot or warm, warm scenario. So give it a minute just to kind of acclimate. So I've got my 2 candles in here, trying to center them. Warm up both of our chambers and our tubes. We do know hot air does what? It rises, exactly. So our directions are to place the punk in the cold chamber. We don't have a cold chamber because we have 2 warm ones. So I'm going to go ahead and again place it in the same side that I did before. And again, I'm placing it halfway there and waiting a little bit. One of the things I'm noticing is that my flames are getting smaller. My flames are definitely getting smaller. As a matter of fact, they're almost going out. If you'd like to see a comparison, here's a comparison of a flame. So we know that our hot air is rising, which means we're actually losing some of our oxygen in there, and that will put out a fire. So actually the left one completely went out. So look at that, and the right one is almost out as well. The smoke is, it's not really doing much. It's just coming right back out the top. So make sure you document that. Now we'll go ahead and switch this out. So our last setup is to take, and we want to see hot, cold. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna, oopsie, I keep my part here. We're gonna place hot in one side and cold in the other. So, we're going to combine our ice so we can have a good cold side. And of course, we need to give it a little bit of time to acclimate, right? And then on this other side, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place in our candle, again, representing the hot, cold. So think about environments, think about situations where we have weather fronts that come together where you have a hot and a cold, right? So we know that sometimes that can be dramatic. What are some examples of things that can happen when you have a cold front and a warm front that come together? Hopefully you said a tornado. So again, We've made our prediction. What do you think is going to happen? And we have to make sure that our punk goes down the cold side. And so we want to watch and see what happens. So in goes our punk. And it's definitely not coming out the top. There's nothing coming out the top, which is interesting. Hot air rises. So as this hot air is rising, it seems to be pulling air from over here. So it's pulling that cold air, and then the hot air is rising. And one of the cool things is that we're starting to see the smoke come out the top of this other chamber. So pretty cool. I know you can't see it very well from where you're at, but the other thing I noticed is, remember before our candle was going out? Our candle's not going out this time. So again, our smoke is pooling down in here, and it's pulling it over here, and then it's coming this way, which if you think about the land breezes and the sea breezes, we know that as the hot air rises, that the cold air comes in and begins to take its place. All right, so take a look at your sheet. Make sure that you have documented your observations and what really happened, and then flip over to the back side. So again, on the back side, your task is to draw the punk, and that was the little piece right here that we used to have our smoke from. So we want to take our punk and we want to draw it in our picture. And then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to use arrows to show the direction of the movement of our smoke, because the smoke direction helps us to identify the direction that the air was moving. Then I want you to think about everything I talked about, and I want you to go ahead and give me an explanation. So again, what did I say about different weather fronts colliding? What did I say about how tornadoes form? What did we say about land breezes and sea breezes, and the different rates at which our Earth's surfaces heat? When you're done, this goes into your science notebook as well. Thank you.